One of my earliest memories is learning how to disappear in plain sight. Not physically disappear, emotionally. I learned how to wear a mask before I even understood what one was. Before I knew words like coping mechanism or trauma or survival. I just knew there were things we didn't say out loud, things we didn't let people see. My mother was diagnosed with cancer when I was very young, and somewhere inside our family, without anyone ever formally saying it, we all entered into this silent agreement. We would act like everything was okay. So I smiled, I went to school, I answered questions of how I was doing with fine. I learned how to protect my family. I watched my mother slowly disappear while cancer took over her body. I watched her weaken as the cancer overtook every part of her. I learned early that strength meant silence, that love meant protecting everyone else from the truth. That emotions were dangerous if they made other people uncomfortable. So I became good at the mask, really good at it. I wore it so long I forgot there was even a face underneath it. I remember the day she died like it was yesterday. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, watching her take her last breaths, and I felt everything all at once. Sad, empty, and relieved. That relief hit me like a punch to the gut, because how could I feel relieved while my mom was dying? And then came the shame for even feeling relieved. That's the thing about masks. Eventually, you wear them so long, you stop trusting your own emotions. You stop knowing which feelings are real and which ones you were trained into. And then my relationship with meth began. Not in some dramatic movie scene, not with flashing warning signs or life-changing speech. It came through a persuasive friend. Someone convincing enough to make destruction sound exciting instead of deadly. I tried it once, and then I kept going for 9 years. 9 years of running from myself, 9 years of not having to feel, 9 years of chaos disguised as freedom. Meth didn't ask me to process my pain. It didn't ask me to slow down long enough to even look at the broken pieces underneath the mask. It gave me energy, escape, confidence, numbness, all wrapped together like a gift, until it took everything. Addiction always collects its payment. I lost everything, my family, my children, my stability, myself. And eventually the state of Colorado imposed what I jokingly now call a 6-year timeout. At the time, it didn't feel funny. It was humiliating, devastating, final. But truthfully, I needed it. Because left to my own decisions back then, I don't know if I would have stopped. Prison stripped everything away, all the distractions, all the pretending, all the running, and for the first time in a long time, I had to sit with myself. Just me, no escape routes. And when I got out, something surprising happened. I got to choose what life would look like. That was new for me. I chose to move into sober living. I chose to start working a 12-step program. I chose sobriety and recovery over everything. I chose not to give up no matter what. Those choices slowly started building a life I didn't recognize, one that I was proud of. I found out I had rights to my middle son, and everything I did became about bringing him home. I rented a 2-bedroom apartment so he had his own room. I put everything he needed in that room, a bed, a gaming system, clothes, toys. One night I got a call that his father got into an altercation in front of the school, and they were calling DHS to get involved for the safety of my son. I drove that night to Grand Junction, and I walked into the school the next day, and I met with the administration and his father. I presented who I was and what my son's life would look like living with me. I walked out of the school that day with my son, and we never looked back. He's now grown and a sailor in the U.S. Navy. Yay. Shortly after this, I started a relationship with my late husband, John. For a while, it felt like maybe this is what normal people got to have, right? Love, partnership, building something together. We started with nothing, and together we built an empire. We opened 3 sober living homes that offer structure, opportunity, and hope for other alcoholics and addicts trying to rebuild their lives. That became bigger than us. Bigger than just a business, it mattered. All the while, all of that was growing, I was growing too. At the same time, I was building a career in construction. I started as a receptionist, just answering phones, learning systems, doing paperwork, and I climbed. Not because someone handed me opportunities, but because I worked for every inch of them. I learned quickly that in my career field, especially as a woman, value wasn't assumed. I had to prove it daily. So I did. I worked harder, I stayed later, I learned faster, I pushed harder. I became successful because failure was never an option. But eventually cracks started showing everywhere, at home, at work, inside me. John's alcoholism and his anger slowly became bigger than the relationship itself. Alcohol consuming him and our world. He chose the bottle over everything. I tried to fix him. I tried to hold on to our marriage. I wanted to save him, but deep down I knew I couldn't. Eventually, my marriage became unsafe and unpredictable. I decided I didn't get clean myself to live this way, and I was worth something better. I realized that loving someone doesn't mean staying and destroying myself. We separated, and life hit me like a punch in the gut. I was working a full-time job, managing 3 sober living homes, and trying to take care of myself in the process. After a while of running on a stress response, I chose me. I chose to walk away from the job that I worked so hard at building. It was no longer good for me, and I was tired of fighting to prove my worth. A few months after I left my job, I got a call that alcohol had finally won, and John was found deceased. That grief was hard. That was a different kind of grief. The man I thought I was going to grow old with, the years of memories, hope, disappointment, and pain over. That chapter officially closed. And then, because apparently life thought I hadn't hit my emotional quota yet, 3 weeks later, my dog got loose. She ran out in front of the house and she was hit and killed in the road right in front of me. I remember sitting there thinking, this can't be real anymore. At that point in my life, I felt like the saddest country song ever written. I lost the husband, lost the job, lost the dog, one thing after another. And for a moment, I honestly didn't know how much more loss a person could carry. This is where my story changes from tragedy into gratitude. Because unlike the country song, I wasn't alone. Throughout the years, I built a relationship with a higher power that I can trust and rely on. When I go to bed at night, I know it's just me and God. And strangely, that brings me peace because I'm no longer hiding. Along the way, too, through recovery and rebuilding and showing up honestly, I had created a support system that held me together when I couldn't hold myself together anymore. And then something incredible happened. I found a career that wanted me, not tolerated me, not tested me daily, not waiting for me to fail. They wanted me there. I didn't have to exhaust myself proving my worth every second. They already saw it. I have a career with a construction company that sees me for my value, not as a woman fighting for a space in a man's world, but as someone worthy of being there. The sober living houses are thriving and helping change lives. I'm surrounded by people who genuinely love me. And maybe the most important thing of all, the mask is finally coming off. Well, most of the time. Wait. I'm still learning that I don't have to be perfect to be loved. I don't have to be the strongest person in every room. I don't have to hide my emotions to protect other people from discomfort. Today, I let myself feel things. The grief, the joy, the fear, the gratitude, all of it. Because feeling is no longer something I run from. And after everything I've survived, the loss of my mom, addiction, prison, heartbreak, and rebuilding, I can honestly say something I never thought I would. I'm grateful to be me. Just Toni. No mask, no performance, no pretending, just me and the world. And after everything I've been through, that's more than enough.